The story begins at 6 a.m. with red and blue lights flooding my driveway. I stood barefoot in my bathrobe on the lawn I'd paid for every month for 3 years. An officer stepped out and said, "Sir, we have a trespassing complaint on this property." Before I could respond, he'll stabbed the asphalt behind him. Veronica Ashworth, the HOA president, marched up like she owned the cul-de-sac. "There's your criminal, officer. Illegal signage in defiance of lawful orders." She jabbed a manicured finger at my 8-inch city-mandated sprinkler warning sign, placed 18 inches inside my own property line. "Remove that eyesore immediately," she snarled, "or arrest him for trespassing on HOA property." My property had suddenly become HOA property. A chill hit me harder than the morning air. This wasn't about a sign. This was how they steal your house, one fabricated violation at a time, until the fines exceed your mortgage and the bank takes everything. My name is Garrett Rathel. 3 years ago, I bought this house with my divorce settlement money after 22 years of marriage ended because I supposedly lacked ambition. My ex-wife got the McMansion. I got enough cash for a fresh start and the freedom to choose my own battles. All I wanted was peace. A corner lot in Willowbrook Estates where I could rebuild my life without anyone's permission. It was 89 modest 1970s ranch homes with mature oak trees that actually provided shade, and an HOA that charged $40 a month for snow removal and basic landscaping. The previous president, Mr. Smith, an 83-year-old who shook my hand at closing with fingers smelling of pipe tobacco, had told me, "We believe in leaving homeowners alone. Life's too short for petty arguments about grass height." For 2 blissful years, that's exactly what I got. Saturday mornings filled with sawdust from my workshop where I restored furniture and worked on my vintage Camaro, classic rock echoing from the garage, and the biggest neighborhood drama being whose turn it was to salt the community center sidewalks. Then the white BMW appeared. Veronica Ashworth rolled in like a perfectly manicured hurricane. A 47-year-old real estate agent with shoulder-length blonde hair that defied gravity and weather, and a calculating smile that marked her next project. She bought the Colonial across from the community center, prime real estate for surveillance. Within 6 months, she ran for HOA president on property values and community standards, with campaign flyers showing before and after photos of neighborhoods she'd improved, the after shots looking suspiciously like suburban prison yards. During her door-to-door campaign, she knocked on mine at 7 p.m. in a Navy business suit, her eyes sweeping over my driveway and lingering on the Camaro like it was a crack house before dissecting my workshop garage. "Certain properties," she said without naming names, but making her meaning crystal clear, "are undermining our collective investment potential. We need leadership that protects what we've built." The election was a bloodbath. Most residents figured one person couldn't destroy a sleepy HOA that had coasted peacefully for decades. Mr. Smith didn't even campaign. He just shrugged and said he was ready to pass the torch to someone with more energy. He had no idea he was handing her a flamethrower. Under his 5-year tenure, there had been 3 violation notices total, all for legitimate safety hazards. Under Veronica's first 8 months, 23 violations and counting. American flags became excessive patriotic displays. She fined Mr. Kim for honoring his son killed in Afghanistan. Children's sidewalk chalk art turned into temporary vandalism. Mrs. Patterson's garden gnomes were non-conforming decorative elements disrupting visual continuity. The smell of fear replaced weekend barbecue smoke. Neighbors stopped making eye contact. Backyard laughter grew whispered and nervous. I flew under the radar until I upgraded my irrigation system. Completely legal, permits pulled, city inspector sign-off. But my 45 PSI system required warning signage under municipal safety code. One small aluminum sign. Automatic sprinklers active. Water pressure warning. 8 inches tall, 18 inches inside my property line, exactly as mandated. That's when Veronica's crosshairs found me. Her email arrived like a digital slap. Urgent. Remove unsightly commercial signage immediately. I researched the bylaws until my eyes burned. The acrid smell of burnt coffee filling my kitchen at midnight. Commercial advertising was banned, but safety equipment was protected under 3 separate clauses. My polite but firm response cited specific bylaws. Her reply came within the hour. Daily fines of $50 begin tomorrow. The violation notice appeared on my door like a death warrant, followed by certified mail on official letterhead screaming Willowbrook Estates Homeowners Association in pompous serif font. $50 daily for aesthetic disruption under a general welfare clause that required significant community impact affecting multiple properties. My sign was smaller than a pizza box. Photography harassment started immediately. Every morning at 7:15, her white BMW purred outside like a stalking predator. She'd emerge with telephoto lenses and a tripod, documenting my criminal sign from 6 angles, building her case like I was running a cartel instead of protecting pedestrians from sprinkler spray. I surveyed 12 neighbors. Only 2 had even noticed the sign. Mrs. Patterson thanked me. She'd been soaked by my old manual sprinklers while walking her ancient beagle, Winston. I spent nights researching HOA enforcement powers, fueled by stubborn engineering curiosity. State residential property codes revealed legal protection. Any safety equipment required by municipal code cannot be restricted by HOA aesthetic rules. Period. Armed with that, I filed a formal dispute citing exemptions. Veronica doubled the fine to $100 daily for willful noncompliance, then called an emergency board meeting to brand me a chronic violator, scheduled during work hours to suppress attendance. I arrived with a 47-minute PowerPoint dismantling her arguments. City docs, state statutes, photos proving compliance. The 3 board members, all her appointees, sat through it with glazed eyes. The vote was 3-2 to uphold fines. After, Mrs. Patterson cornered me with a manila folder of records showing patterns. Mr. Kim fined for his flag. Jessica, single mom, cited for chalk art. Mrs. Henderson threatened over bird feeders. Every targeted homeowner had questioned her authority. This was systematic retaliation. The fines escalated to $650 plus $400 in administrative costs, triggering a lien notice. My mortgage company called about credit impact and acceleration clauses. Stress became physical, sleepless nights, constant antacids. I consulted a property attorney, Margaret Steinberg, who uncovered Veronica's conflict of interest. As a real estate agent, she had to recuse from lien decisions because she could benefit from forced sales. Ohio law prohibited it after too many coincidental foreclosures. I documented everything. Security cameras capturing her photo shoots, timeline files, recordings. Ohio is one-party consent. Veronica demanded I remove my cameras for intimidation, threatening more fines. But property owners have absolute right to record visible activity on their land. Neighbors mobilized. Mrs. Patterson's underground network shared evidence. Jessica had ring footage of Veronica measuring decorations at 6 a.m. Mr. Kim provided emails demanding justification for his flag. The smoking gun came from Mrs. Smith, widow of the former president. Printouts of Veronica's old website advertising HOA compliance consulting for investors, helping identify acquisition opportunities through enforcement that motivates seller decisions. Public records showed 3 foreclosed properties in nearby districts bought by out-of-state investors, with Veronica as listing agent on every sale. She was a silent partner in the acquisition company, manufacture crises via fines, force foreclosures by low, flip high. A cease and desist letter arrived demanding $1,847 and threatening foreclosure. I liquidated retirement savings for lawyer fees. Then I found the constitutional Achilles heel. The 1987 charter required 67% homeowner approval for rule changes affecting fines. Veronica's new standards were invalid. She'd run a dictatorship with no legal authority. She retaliated with propaganda in a newsletter calling my house a problem property, social isolation, anonymous intimidation letters, employment sabotage, fabricated complaints to my HR, a special $1,200 assessment per household, evidence tampering, files vanishing, and online reputation attacks. But every crime strengthened our case. Her final gambit, a sham emergency meeting with 24-hour notice, proxy voters, fraudulent, and retroactive rule adoption to legitimize past fines. I challenged proxies with property records. Margaret arrived with a federal restraining order freezing changes. The meeting relocated to a high school auditorium amid protests. Marcus Webb's Channel 7 coverage aired live. A vote of no confidence passed 28-2. Recall petitions exceeded thresholds. At the annual meeting, Marcus's expose revealed $127,000 in questionable expenditures tied to her shell companies. Federal charges were announced. RICO conspiracy, civil rights violations, wire/mail fraud. Agents arrested Veronica mid-meeting. Handcuffs clicked on camera. She got 18 months in federal prison, restitution, license revocation across 3 states. 6 months later, the community held its first Freedom Festival. New board implemented transparency, resident bill of rights, live-streamed meetings. My sprinkler sign got municipal recognition as a safety feature. Replica signs appeared in solidarity. I became a paralegal specializing in HOA law, helping others. Property values rose 23%. The tiny warning sign that started it all still stands, perfectly legal, now a symbol that when people organize and fight smart, justice wins. Property rights matter, community voice counts, and bullies in business suits are still just bullies. When regular folks demand accountability, democracy works.